Yes, today we're going to be focusing on Kenya. We do this Kenya trip every year, and today's the day we're going to explain why we do this and answer some of the common questions we get. And I feel like this is overdue in a way because you haven't seen one of these filters in action, okay? So what we're doing over in Kenya, and the main thrust of what we do is we give out these water filters. That's what are you doing in Kenya? That's the answer to that question. We're giving out these water filters. We have an example of one right here. Here is the lovely water filter. This piece here is the filter itself, okay? And so this is the display model, if you will. It's a clear bucket so you can see what's happening. And so this is what we do. We give out the water filters. Now, this is some water I have here. Now, how many of you, show of hands, would drink this water? What do you think? Yeah, you did already? All right, so this is some cleanish water. It came right out of the tap, so it's cleanish. So let me show of hands again. How many of you would drink this? Did it come out of the tap? No Brita filter? Yeah, okay. Good number of people would drink this water. Okay. It looks clean. How many of you would drink it now? Show of hands. That's pretty disgusting. Okay. I'm a fairly clean person, but I've been shaking hands this morning, and I don't know where you people have been. So I say that just to make the point that that's one of the things that we have to explain when we go over there. Just because water looks clean doesn't mean it is clean. All right, now I also have some stuff I'd like to add to this water. This is a suspicious-looking bag. It's actually just some dirt, some yard work from our backyard, and so I'm going to add that to the mix. Oh, yeah, tasty. Here we go. Now, show of hands, how many would drink this water? How thirsty are you? That's a good question. How thirsty are you? Now, as nasty as this water looks, it's far cleaner than the water over there in Kenya that some people are drinking because they're just that thirsty. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this in here. And you can see this bad boy in action. Now we go over there and we take these water filters. That's what we're doing. Here's the reason why we're doing it. Of the top 5 diseases that kill, 3 are waterborne. Let me say that again. Of the top 5 diseases that kill people, 3 are waterborne. Cholera, dysentery, and typhoid. Now this just blows my mind. More people die from waterborne diseases every year than die on account of acts of violence. All acts of violence, including war and terrorism. Let's just let that sit in for a minute. Of all the acts of violence, of all the atrocities in this world, and the acts of terrorism and the wars that break out, more people are dying because they don't have access to clean water. That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, these are preventable diseases, these are treatable diseases, these are things that we don't have to be dying from. And so that's why we're doing this thing. We're giving out these water filters to give people the gift of life. Now, every year we have, this is our 4th year doing this, and so we get the same questions every year from people. And the first question that we get, and if you're on our team, maybe you've already received this question, is, well, why are you going all the way over to Kenya? You're nodding your head. Yes, you've gotten that question already. Why are you going all the way over to Kenya? I mean, there are plenty of needs right here in Delaware County. You don't have to look far before you find people in need. So why do this big trip and raise all this money and go all the way over there when you could just do stuff right here in your own community? That is a fantastic question, and it has an answer to it. We are doing things right here in our own community. That's our first priority. I mean, we do this Kenya thing and it's big, but our first priority is right here in our own community. We are a community church. It's built into our title, isn't it? Hope Community Church. And it would be entirely messed up if we said, well, forget about the people here, forget about our neighbors, forget about what they're going through. Let's spend all of our time and energy and money somewhere else in the world. That would be wrong, but we're not doing that. 50 weeks of the year, we're here. We're invested. We're helping. 2 weeks, we're over in Kenya. And so we help our near neighbors through a variety of ways. We have these, officially church-sanctioned type things. We've got the Loaves and Fishes Food Bank that feeds people right here in southern Delaware County. Excuse me. We have our occasional partnership with City Team in Chester, taking care of people who are homeless and who are in need there. We do the leaf rake up in the fall. We do the Laundry on Us projects. But beyond all those church-sanctioned things, we have you going out and helping your neighbors. Was it 3 weeks ago that we did the Be the Church Sunday? And you all went out there, and we had people doing cleanup projects. We had people at the nursing home, at the rehab center. We had people providing meals at the transplant place. I mean, we had people doing stuff. And so when people ask me that question, thanks to you, I have a good answer. Thanks to you, I can say, hey, we are doing stuff right here. But we don't want to become so focused on our own needs, so focused on our own community, that we turn a blind eye to the greater needs around the world. So that's one of the questions that we get is, why don't you do stuff here? And the answer to that question, if somebody asks you that, you say, we are. We are doing stuff here. But we don't want to turn a blind eye to the greater needs around the world. So that's your answer if somebody asks you that. The other question we get is about the money. How much money? I mean, it takes $3,000 to get one person over to Kenya. And this is a big question that I have before my first trip. Before my first trip, it was like a year before the trip, I went to an informational meeting, and I'm thinking, if it takes all this money to do it, why don't we just send the money? So really, that's the question that people have is, why not just send the money? Why not just send the money? And so here's the reality. We need people to just send money. We do. We absolutely do. Money is a necessity. We need people to send money. I mean, we need people to send money to start with One Kenya. That's the organization that we partner with. They're the organization that created these filters. They're the organization that buys these filters and has them made. So they absolutely do need money. Absolutely. But they need more than money. And here's the thing. We have churches across America and organizations and individuals across America who are doing just that. Sending money. That's great, but it takes more than money. Because once you have the money, you still have to buy the filters. And after you buy the filters, you still need the filters delivered to Kenya. And after they arrive in Kenya, you still need people to physically pick up the filter, go to the people, teach them how to use it, and give that to them. You need feet on the ground. There's no way around it. And so the reality is that there are multiple people, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who do the work of giving the money, which is essential. And there's a smaller group of people that are actually doing the work of hitting the ground and giving out these filters. And so that's why we're raising the money to actually go over there, because, again, it takes more than money to save people's lives. So that's what we're doing. There's another reason that we go over, and I'm almost hesitant to mention this because it seems a little bit self-serving, but I mean, in an effort to be transparent, I want to tell you what happens. We take a team of people over there from Southern Delaware County, and then we bring them back to Southern Delaware County, and most people who experience Kenya, they come back changed. They come back with a different sense of priorities. They come back with a sense of their own personal entitlement. And so, in fact, in some cases, people come back with a whole new view of life and a new career path and new ideas about how to help people around the world. And so that might be a little bit selfish of a reason, but I'm just sharing the reality is that people come back changed and ready to connect in their own community and help people in need in a more profound way. And so just so you know, that's something else that happens in Kenya. That's another reason why we actually go over there. I call that a secondary reason. First and foremost is to give people these filters, of course. But people do come back changed. Most of us, not all of us, most of us do come back changed from this experience. There's another issue that those of us who are going on the trip and we send out these support letters and we send them out to like everybody we can think of. We send these letters out, we send emails out and all this. And there's another issue that sometimes we butt up against. It's not really a question, but it's more of a concern. There's some people who are all about the filter thing and let's give people clean water and let's save their lives. But there are some people who just have that little bit of discomfort because we're doing this as a church, because this is a Christian thing. You know, have you run into that a little bit where it's like, oh no, this is great, you're going to save people's lives and you're going to give them water, but this is a church thing and this is a Christian thing and I don't know about the Christian thing. I mean, I think most of you don't have that problem because it's Sunday morning and you're here in church, but there's some people who have that problem. And let me just say, if you have that problem, I guess maybe I'm talking to our online audience, if you've kind of struggled with that, it's like, I love what you're doing with the water, but I want to keep a distance from the Christian thing. If that's you, I totally get that. I really do. I mean, there have been times in my life where I've wanted to distance myself from the Christian thing because, as I've said before, that word Christian, I mean, so many people use that. That's such a broad, general term, and there are all kinds of people doing all kinds of terrible things in the name of Christianity. Let's be honest. And I'm not talking about, way back in the past, people did terrible things in the name of Christian. People are still doing terrible things, saying horrible, hateful things, and claiming to be Christians. And so even to this day, I want to separate myself. I'm like, I'm not one of those Christians, okay? And so if you've had that concern, it's like, I'd love to support this cause. I'd love to help save people's lives in Kenya, but it's the Christian thing that kind of, okay, I'm going to ask you to push through that. And let me tell you, I've done this 3 times before We're not going over there with a Bible smacking people on the head with it. That's not what we do. Not literally and not figuratively. That's not what we're doing. We're going over and we're saving lives. And we're saying, God loves you. How much? This much. Enough to save your life. And so again, if you've had that concern, I get it, but just push through. Because the fact is, you've probably had Christianity misrepresented to you. But this is what it is. This is what it means to be a part of a church. This is what it means to be a Christian. It's helping people who are in need. Take a look at those few verses that are in your bulletin. There's this Bible reading in your bulletin. And this was written by a guy named James. And James, this was originally a letter, and he was writing to Christians. He was writing to Christians in the first century. He was writing them this letter because those Christians in the first century, they were getting some stuff wrong. They weren't living out their Christianity. They didn't know what it meant to be a church, and they had a wrong idea about what it meant to be a follower of Jesus. And so James is correcting them, and he's pretty bold about this. And he gives them this little example and something to think about. He says, suppose a brother or a sister, suppose somebody you know is without clothes and daily food. If one of you Christian people, if one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, well, what good is that? In the same way, faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. And what James was saying to us, and I think it still applies to modern day Christians, like, hey, Christians, what good is your faith if you're not doing something with it? I mean, you claim to be a Christian, and somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I'm in need. I need water. I need clothes. I need food. And you say, I'm going to pray for you, brother. All right, take care. That's not, what good is that faith? That faith is worthless. What kind of a belief system is this where you just say, I wish you well, on your way? It doesn't work that way. If somebody is in need, this is what James is telling us. If somebody is in need, and if you have the ability to meet that need, you meet that need. That's what you do. And we have been put in a place by the grace of God or by God's design, or I don't know how we've been put in this place, where we can actually meet this need, where we can give people clean water. And so James would tell us, if you can do this and you choose not to, that's not Christianity. This is Christianity, going and helping people, not just in our own community, but helping people who have greater needs around the world. This cause, and I know, it takes all this money to do this, and you've been hit up for money, and, all of us, we get hit up for money a lot, don't we? There's a lot of charities asking for our money, a lot of people after our money, a lot of great causes after our money. It's great causes, and there are a lot of things that are very important that we should be supporting. I mean, research to help cure the various diseases that we deal with, that's a great cause. And when you see things like that on Facebook, or people doing the 5Ks, or people doing whatever it is to raise money to find a cure, we should be supporting those causes. But here's the thing. This cause, this is different. We're not doing research to try and find a cure. We found the cure. We found the cure already. I mean, the research is done. We know what's killing people. We know what's causing these diseases that kill people, that typhoid, cholera, and dysentery. We already know, and we have the cure. It's not like we would say, oh, sorry, you're out of luck. We don't know what to do. We don't know what's killing you. We know what's killing the people. We have the cure. We just need to get the cure into the people's hands so it saves their lives. See? And so for some reason, I don't know if that connects with you, but on a spiritual level, on a heart level, that really is like, wow. It'd be one thing to say to somebody, I'm sorry you have this incurable disease. I don't know what to do for you. But this is something else. It's like we know what it takes to save these people's lives. And we can do it. This is a unique kind of cause. Listen to this. I've got some more statistics for you. 42,000 people die every week on account of a waterborne disease. And as many as 90% of those 42,000, children under 5 years old. Fathers, mothers, babies dying because they don't have access to clean water. And we have the ability to do something about it. It's not like we have to go to these parents and say, I'm sorry that your child is dying. We don't know what to do. We do know what to do. We do know what the cure is. I mean, we're literally giving people the gift of life. Now, you personally, you probably don't know anybody who's died from a waterborne disease. You probably don't. I mean, everybody in this room, you know somebody who's suffered from a disease, and there are plenty of us in this room who have suffered from very serious diseases, and you know some people who have died from serious diseases, but you don't know anybody who's died from drinking dirty water. And that's the thing, and that's just our perspective in the first world. We're in the first, it's not an issue for us in the first world. We don't see people dying in the first world. We don't have to bury our children because they didn't have access to clean water here. And that's the other reason why we do this trip, as we are attempting to give a voice to the voiceless. To give a voice to the voiceless. Somebody's got to stand up in the first world and say, hey, I know this isn't a problem for us. Hey, I know you don't personally know anybody who's died from a waterborne disease, but it is happening and it is real. And when you go over there, you meet the people, you see the faces, you hear the names, and you know that you are saving a life. That's why we do this. That's why we take these filters over there. And so thank you so much for those of you who are going on this trip. And here's something else that I need to let you know. There's 11 people from Hope going, and that's all well and good. But it takes an entire church to make this trip a reality. You realize this, right? This isn't just the work of 11 people and our partners at the other church, at Bethlehem Church. I mean, it's a grand total of 30 people going. It's taking 2 full churches, to make this trip a reality. And so the fact that you have believed in this, the fact that you're supporting this, the fact that you are sharing this information with your friends, we really do appreciate that. And so I just want to speak to the 10 others of you that are going on this trip, and I want to say thank you. I know this isn't easy. I know that you're giving up vacation time. I know that in some cases you're sacrificing income. I know that you're going to get the vaccinations. I know that you're sacrificing pain in your arm. I know that you're sending out support letters. I know it's a lot of work, but it's worth it to those of you who are going, because you are saving lives. To those of you who are family members and you're sending off your loved ones overseas to go do this thing, I mean, truth be told, it's probably more difficult for the people we leave behind than it is for us who are there. And so for those of you who are sending your spouse over or your kids over or whoever it is over, thank you. Thank you for being willing to part with your loved one for those 2 weeks. It's not easy. It is a tremendous sacrifice, but it's worth it because you're saving lives. And to all of you who have made a financial contribution, whether it's $5 or $5,000, know this: it's not easy to part with your money. You worked hard for it. I mean, it's yours, you earned it, but the fact that you've contributed, the fact that you've made that sacrifice, as difficult as it was, it's worth it because you are literally saving people's lives. And so I want to thank all of you for that. And if you're somebody who's watching or listening online, and if you're thinking about, I've heard about this cause, I want to support it, I'd encourage you, go ahead. This is something worth supporting. This is something worth doing. I know it takes a lot to part with your money, but you will be literally saving people's lives. And so thank you all for your support of this event.